Yeah, here we go. Happy Tuesday. Welcome in. It's another edition of the Joe Raineri Show, brought to you by YouWager.eu. Hell, it is not only where America bets, it is where this show bets. And how many times have I got to tell you, price shopping is one of the most important aspects of being a profitable sports investor, which means at your disposal, you need to have a few, if not more, sports books that you can trust, that are reliable, that you can actually go ahead and place a wager when the number is right. And that is why here on the show we recommend YouWager.eu. Ease of convenience, great lines, great pricing, great customer service. So we offer you guys the opportunity to open an account here tonight because we've got a lot, and I mean a lot, of information coming your way over the next 60 minutes from some of the game's best. We're talking Ralph Michaels, Wagertalk.com. He joins us on Tuesdays, as you guys know, and he gets you set up for the college basketball slate of games tonight. Ralph, nobody does TNA better than Ralph. I'm talking about trends and angles, and he's got a couple of trends and angles tonight that's going to get you all set up to win a few games tonight in the college basketball slate. He's going to join us here in just a couple of minutes. Also, TrendyBets.com, their free NBA play of the day coming up in just about 40 minutes. They didn't get the one last night, but have no fear. They are 18-5 over the last month, 8-2 over the last 2 weeks. They've got themselves another free NBA play of the day coming your way. 45 minutes, and we're going to talk a little NHL hockey. As a matter of fact, nobody better than our friend Andrew McInnis, SportsMemo.com. He is the co-host of Puck Time at SportsMemo.com, one of the best and most informative NHL podcasts on Twitter, on social media that you guys will find. He's got a couple of plays tonight as well in the NHL that he wants to pass along to you. Not to mention, we've got a couple of NBA plays that were sent our way. We'll tell you all about that. The bottom line is it is time to make some money today. That is why you need to head over to YouWager.eu and get yourself opened an account. Price shopping is all about profitability. The better the number, the better chance of you actually scoring and winning. That is why you've got to have a book you trust. Nobody better, and I mean I trust it, and those of you that have listened and followed suit, you guys have called YouWager, and the feedback I have got has been amazing. So give them the code JRS50. That's JRS50. Call them now, 1-800-YouWager, and get yourself that 50% sign-up bonus. We are loaded, and I mean really loaded, not drunk loaded, but like loaded with information. You guys know exactly what I meant. If you are just joining us, welcome in. If you're new to the show, what we do here on the Joe Raineri Show is we try to bring as much information as humanly possible your way. We try to make everybody a smarter and more profitable sports investor, and the way we do that is by introducing you to some of the industry's best professional handicappers, guys like Ralph Michaels, who you're going to meet in a minute here, guys like Andrew McInnis, who when it comes to the NHL, I wouldn't listen to anybody. Well, there's a few guys, but he is one of the guys that I would absolutely listen to what he's got to say, because the picks, they speak for themselves. You'll hear from them. You'll have an opportunity to meet them, and that's what we like doing here on the show, is giving you a chance not just to subscribe to a service and have picks sent to you, and you never have any idea who the hell is sending them, why they're sending them. You don't know. It's about as impersonal as it can be, and we try to avoid that as much as possible. We want to bring you guys that you can meet, guys that have proven track records, guys that are transparent, guys that you can trust, and guys that you know when you come here, the information they're going to give you is solid information. And it's not just about being a sheep and playing whatever game somebody throws in your face. It's about understanding where they're coming from. It's about taking their knowledge and their perspective and utilizing it yourself to make a smart sports investing decision. You may not agree with everything that the guys on this show have to say, but ultimately the information they give you will hopefully be something that A, you didn't even think about, or B, you're going, I agree. I think I'm going to go ahead and make the play. The more information you have, the smarter sports investing decisions you will make That is the concept here of the show. We broadcast to you guys live Monday through Friday, and we broadcast across all 5 platforms. We're on YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, and Periscope. If you guys are joining us now on Twitter and Periscope, welcome in, guys. I see you, Tony. Good to see you there. And John is joining us. John T., good to see you. If you're joining us in the Facebook chat room, I see you. Melanie, always a pleasure to see you. Oscar's in there. Also on Facebook Live. Jeremy, it's a pleasure to see you guys there. So welcome in. Let's make you some money. Let's make it a profitable Tuesday night. And the way we know how to do that, of course, is by bringing you the people who know what they're talking about. Guys like Ralph Michaels from Wagertalk.com. And before we get to Ralph, though, I do want to remind and thank our good friends at Miami Acura for making all of this possible, sponsoring the show and sponsoring the movement of sports betting and being a responsible sports investing source, and that's what we are, and these guys are great. You want to talk about responsible. Nobody is better than Miami Acura. When it comes to new or certified pre-owned vehicles, you won't find a better deal or better people than at Miami Acura. So if you're in the 305, do yourself a favor. Head over to South Dixie Highway, Palmetto Bay, if you are in the market for a new or certified car, or just go ahead and log on to MiamiAcura.com. Go check out the pricing. Go shop everywhere else, but before you make a decision, go see what they've got to offer at Miami Acura. One of the best. MiamiAcura.com, South Dixie Highway, Palmetto Bay, 855-564-4669. Do yourself a favor. If you're ever going to be getting a new car or a used car, write this down, MiamiAcura.com. Go check them out. Get ready, TrendyBets.com, your free NBA play of the day coming up, but first... Hey, guys, happy Tuesday. Joining us, of course, our good friend Ralph Michaels, Wagertalk.com via the Miami Acura hotline. And Ralph, the college basketball world turned upside down last night. You and I were just talking off air. 17 points Duke was laying against Syracuse. Is that one of those games that you look at it and go, listen, it happens this time of year, but how could Vegas be that far off with that number last night?
Well, yeah, again, people remember the game that they bet and the line was real close to where it finished. But, it's a pot shot. You have so much variable and variance from one team to the next, how well they're going to shoot. You look at a team's shooting percentage, why do they shoot 42% one night and 50% the next time they face the exact same team? You just have better shooting inside or out. You also had a Duke situation where their point guard got hurt. And, Duke, let's face it, they were 9 of 43 from three-point land. They shot 43 three-pointers. Jack White was 0 of 10. You're going to lose if you shoot 9 of 43 from three-point land. So it was, it was Syracuse's zone. It's something we always talk about, Jim Boeheim in March, and what that Syracuse zone can do to shut teams down. Well, Duke's a very young team that just got exposed shooting against the first time they saw that Syracuse zone defense.
Yeah, well, it happens, and Syracuse, I don't think is, and you mentioned a top 20 team. They're not as bad as they're not the Syracuse, I guess, that you would consider of old or where people have in their mind. But it's still a pretty damn good Syracuse team, who, in all likelihood, is going to be dancing in March at some point anyway. And Duke is Duke. They're both going to be there again, before it is all said and done, I'm sure of that. Ralph Michaels joining us, Wagertalk.com. At this point in the season, Ralph, what have we learned from some teams against the number? ATS great and ATS just absolutely terrible to this point in the season.
Well, while we're going to talk about some of the best and the worst in each situations, I do want to preface it by saying, more often than not, Vegas is going to make adjustments, because now that we're out of football and the college football fans and most of the NFL fans have now transferred over to basketball, you're going to have more monies bet on these teams that are red hot. Teams like Mississippi now 14-1 against the spread. And, you know, they're a team that I tweeted out last week that I believe their head coach, you know, right now, I would name Kermit Davis the coach of the year. This is the coach that was at Middle Tennessee State last year. Middle Tennessee State won CUSA numerous years. They've been in the tournament numerous years. Middle Tennessee State this year, 2-13 against the spread without Kermit Davis. Ole Miss with Kermit Davis, 14-1 against the spread. Wow. So just an amazing difference of what a coach can do. You know, and Mississippi has a lot of talent on that team, but they're also a team that went 12-20 last year and lost won only one game from January 27th on. So they were 11-9 at one point, finished 12-20. But they're talented. They have a point guard that's great, and they have multiple people that can score. They're a legitimate top 20 team now. You know, other teams, we've talked about this before as well on the show, I think, is Oklahoma. You know, Oklahoma is a team that everyone was familiar with Trae Young last year and what he did, but Oklahoma down the stretch went 2-10. And this year, Lon Kruger has a team back. By a team, I mean a team that plays offense and defense. They've only they have a top 10 defensive team, and they're 12-2-1. So many times you do have the top two ATS teams are teams that were negative teams that have turned it around this year. But you also have situations where Virginia, they were a number one seed. Yes, maybe they are not getting the love because they had the historic loss against the 16th seed in Maryland, Baltimore County, but they have a top 10 defense. This year, though, they have a very, very efficient offense inside the top 20. They're 12-3 against the spread. And also two teams that everyone knows about as mid-majors that maybe they don't want to bet on because they think they're mid-majors and everyone knows about them. But Buffalo, 11-3-1 against the spread. Gonzaga, 14-4. On the flip side, we talked about Middle Tennessee, 12-2-13 against the spread. Another team that has had a winning tradition, but this year is very much down, Northern Iowa, 3-12 against the spread. And I can equate those two together and say this. When you have a team that's dominated a conference or has been one of the best two or three teams in a conference for multiple years, and then they have a real bad down year, we often see those teams get blown out because all these teams have gotten beaten up for so many years against these opponents. This is their chance to get revenge. This is their time. They're the better team, and they do take it out on those teams that had been bullies and now finally can be bullied. Couple other teams with very bad ATS numbers: Eastern Washington 3-12, Eastern Michigan 3-9 against the spread, and Wyoming 3-13 against the spread.
You know, you talk about against the spread. There's a game tonight too on opposite ends of the spectrum here. You're looking at Marquette and Georgetown. Marquette 11-6-1 against the spread this year, and Georgetown not good at all, 6-10-1. Marquette laying 2.5 on the road in this game, and you know, talk about a team just not what they used to be. Georgetown there, but Marquette not exactly. I don't think they're exactly impressing the world either this year, Ralph.
You know, I really like what they've done with Georgetown this year. You look back the last few years of John Thompson's tenure, Georgetown was 15-18, 14-18, and then Patrick Ewing took over last year, got him to 15-15. This year, Patrick Ewing has them at 12-5, so I think they are now on the upswing. They're playing a faster tempo game. He got some recruits to come in. He's going to have another good recruiting class last year. And while they have 5 losses, all 5 losses were against fairly legitimate teams. They did have a bad loss against Loyola Marymount early in the year, but their losses are to Syracuse on the road. We know they're not bad. Xavier on the road, St. John's at home in overtime, and SMU at home. So, you know, they're making that step where they're beating a couple good teams, they're losing to some good teams, but they are beating the teams they're supposed to be. Now, you know, Marquette, we're going to talk about this game more in the in the technical situation part when I have a totals play on this game. But Marquette has done what they're supposed to do as well. They're 14-3. They're 3 losses. St. John's on the road, Indiana on the road, and Kansas. They've beaten who they've had to beat. The unique thing about this game is Marquette's a very fast-paced team, but Georgetown is even faster this year. The one concern, again, I do have with Marquette, this is only their 4th true road game of the year. Again, their other road games, Indiana, they lost. St. John's, they lost. The Creighton game, they needed overtime to win. They were actually down in that game and came back. So they still haven't played many games, or they still aren't road warriors yet, although a 14-3 record.
Ralph Michaels joining us, Wagertalk.com. That is where you guys can reach him, and make sure that you visit the Cal Sports paid packages available for you college basketball fans as we get ready for March Madness. Not to mention, and we'll talk about this later on in the week, but Ralph has just been unbelievable in college football and the NFL as well. But it's all there for you, Wagertalk.com. Make sure you guys hit the Cal Sports page. What about this time of year, Ralph, January, when we get into situations where maybe we've got a non-conference home team as a underdog? What does history tell us about these types of situations?
Well, I ran these numbers back since 2014. So we have the 14, 15, 16, and 17 seasons. And I wanted to look at how January non-conference teams do. There aren't very many times you have a non-conference game in January. A couple of the conferences play crossover games, and occasionally you'll have that where a team had an off week in their conference and they'll schedule a non-conference game. But what I did find out is this. Home dogs in January, non-conference home dogs, have gone 32-18, 64%. So we have a solid 50-play base. We have 4 solid years of information. Again, not many plays, only 50 plays in 4 years, but a 64% win mark. To make it a little tighter and even a better record, when you look at a small home dog, those home dogs between 0 and 4 points, they are 20-8 against the spread. Wow. 71.4%. And then I looked and I said, well, what do the teams do if they're evenly matched? Non-conference home teams, when the lines are between +3 and -3, 64.1%, going 25-14 and 1 ATS. So not that many occurrences, but if you do have those non-conference teams and they are at home either as a dog or a small favorite, they have been over a 64% play. And I think it's probably this, a home team is more familiar being at home. You have your normal conference home crowd there. You have a smart home crowd. You have the student section. They still attend those games. And another team is probably in conference mode, used to playing conference opponents, now seeing a unique arena or stadium for the first time in a while or forever. So, again, not a lot of scenarios, but certainly when you have a 64% situation over 4 years with as many plays as we've seen, it's something to take note of and mark down throughout this month.
I love it. Ralph Michaels, Wagertalk.com. That's what we love about him. Nobody does TNA quite like Ralph Michaels. Trends and angles. He is your man. What about tonight's? I know a lot of people have had this circled and are waiting for it. I think they've played 147 games over the years, Virginia Tech and Virginia in-state rivals. I don't think they've ever actually been in the top 10 at the same time when they have played, but that's where they find themselves tonight. Ralph, I look at this game, I don't know how they're going to score 100 points, either one of these two teams, with the way they play defense. How do you size this game up tonight, looking at Virginia and Virginia Tech? A very pleasant surprise in Virginia Tech.
Well, yeah, I mean, Virginia Tech truly is coming in at 3-0 in ACC action, 14-1 on the year. Their only loss on the road to Penn State. The trouble with Buzz Williams' team for me is a lot of times he catches teams off guard because he plays one of the slowest tempos in college basketball. His pace of play is number 329 out of 353 teams. Unfortunately, this time you're playing on the road against a team that plays even slower. Virginia is dead last. Oh. They are 353 out of 353 as far as teams go in tempo. That's why you see this total being so low. The first one to 60 will win this game, and I don't think Virginia Tech can get to 60. So, I think Virginia comes out of this game, gets the win. Last year you saw the teams play. When Virginia was at home last year, the final was 61-60, and that was in overtime.
Wow.
When they played at Virginia Tech early in the year, the final was 78-52. Virginia got up early and pushed the pace a little bit more. That was early in the season last year. So, yeah, it tells you all you need to know with a 61-60 game, and that was with overtime last year. Expect one of those again, but I think Virginia just a little too strong on the defensive side. And again, Virginia Tech has emulated Virginia getting where they have with Buzz Williams, but you're just going on the road playing a team that does exactly what you do, but just a little better.
Yeah, Ralph Michaels, Wagertalk.com. Before we get to one of your situational technical plays on the board here tonight, Ralph, there was one other game that that I circled I wanted to get your thoughts on, and that's Florida-Mississippi State. It opened up Mississippi State -3. It's actually moved to -4.5, -5 in some books. But, I look at this game and I go, hasn't Florida owned Mississippi State over the last few years? It's kind of been kryptonite for them, and I know they're having a great year here, Mississippi State, but that number looks awfully big to me tonight, Ralph.
I'm trying to pull up, as you say, what the conference history is, and looking at it right now, 2, 4, 6, 8. It's 9 straight wins for Florida in this series, and in that series, 1, 2, 3, 4. Florida is 5-4 ATS, so they clearly have dominated this team. I think we've seen the line climb because Mississippi State, under Ben Howland this year, is a legitimate top 40 team, but you are seeing a Mississippi State team that's off back-to-back losses and off a home loss to their rival Mississippi. I think so many people equate coming off a loss, coming off a home loss, you get that bounce-back method. But the Mississippi State team has surprised me, allowing 87 points to South Carolina. That, of course, in an overtime game when they lost on Tuesday. And then the Ole Miss game doesn't surprise me. We talked about Ole Miss. We talked about how they've turned around. They lost at home 81-77. The Florida, but you look at Florida. Florida's also off a home loss. They're off a game on Saturday where they lost to Tennessee, lost by 11. That surprised me a little bit. That the Vols being that good didn't surprise me, but Tennessee playing the game they did and pulling away late in the game. That game was close to being tied going to 10 minutes left, and the Tennessee Volunteers pulled away again. Another game where you just have bad three-point shooting. Florida was 12 of 32 in that Tennessee game. So with Florida not playing well offensively, they only had 57 points against Arkansas on the road the game before, 67 points against Tennessee. I think Florida State's offense will struggle in this game, and I looked at this game to use the under in it. I did not use it as a play. I certainly lean the under. And if I had to make a pick, I'd project Mississippi State to win by 4 or 5 points. If that line continues to climb, I think there would be value on Florida. But only a point away from my projections. It doesn't make a play for either side for me.
Good stuff. Ralph Michaels, Wagertalk.com. Now, Ralph, situational technical plays, you are fantastic at pointing these out. So what have you seen here coming up that you can do both situationally and technically we should know about?
Well, technical play tonight, we're going to use the totals play, and it's game number 637, 638. Georgetown and Marquette over the total. Georgetown, as I said, has changed tempo under Patrick Ewing. They are actually number 15th now. They run the 15th fastest tempo. They are up and down the court. They let their players be very athletic. They are now 23-6 over under their last 29 games. They're 14-3 over under at home their last 17 games. Marquette is a team that is actually slower than they were last year, but when they do get on the road, they tend to push the pace a little bit. They are 11-2 over under on the road their last 13 games away from Milwaukee. So again, over game 637, 638, Georgetown and Marquette.
Love that. Make sure you guys are writing that down. Make sure you guys are tailing Ralph Michaels at Cal Sports LV on Twitter. Also, Wagertalk.com. You guys know where to find him on the Cal Sports page there. Take advantage of the knowledge. Take advantage of the experience. Get there. As we get ready for March Madness, it's coming here. Plenty of opportunities for you guys to profit up until March Madness. Do so by joining up with Ralph now at Cal Sports on Wagertalk.com. It's been an interesting, I should say, last couple of weeks, Ralph, in 2019 in college hoops. Has there been anything that has stuck out to you thus far that maybe goes that you looked at and went, wow, that's didn't see this happening thus far?
Well, we look at some teams, and obviously having been from Cleveland, I follow the Big Ten close. I am just amazed that Wisconsin is 11-6, playing as poorly as they are. West Virginia is another team that has just, Bob Huggins used to be able to replace people. He lost his guards last year, has not been able to find anyone. West Virginia really, really struggling. A couple nice surprises. San Francisco out in the West Coast Conference. I think they are a team that ended up losing at home to Gonzaga by 13 last Saturday, but that game was wire to wire to the final couple minutes. The Dons really are the second best team in the conference. I don't think they get to beat Gonzaga this year to get to the tournament, but keep your eye on San Francisco. And, also some of these totals you see, and I talk to a lot of people, and in college basketball and in the NBA, in the NBA, we're seeing such historically high totals, and even some college basketball games that I think are a lot of friends of mine that I talk to that are gamblers and our listeners probably are afraid to play these low totals that are in the 130s or high 120s. But to me, there's so many times that you have defensive teams that, even though these totals are low 130s, there's still value. These are totals that should be in the 118s, 120s. I had a play last night that looked to be an ugly play, and even though the game went to overtime, we still had the under. It was Monmouth and Siena. Both teams, better defenses and offenses, both teams very slow tempo. The total was 131.5. That game went to overtime at 61s and still stayed under the total. So I know people are afraid to use low totals. If you find those right situations, we talked to Virginia Tech. We talked at Florida, Mississippi State. Even if you have low totals, two slow-tempo teams with defenses better than offenses, don't be afraid to go with those low numbers.
Great stuff. Ralph Michaels, Wagertalk.com. Make sure you guys get there. Tail him on Twitter at CalSportsLV. Ralph, always a pleasure. Looking forward to talking to you on Thursday as we get ready for who's going to go to the Super Bowl in the NFL this week. Ralph, thank you so much, my friend. Enjoy your day.
Thanks, Joe.
Want to thank Ralph so very much for taking the time to hang out with us today. The man is just got a plethora of college hoop knowledge, man. He is definitely somebody that you guys want to tail. I hope you're all tailing him on Twitter at Cal Sports LV. The man is a monster. Nobody does TNA, Trends and Angles, like Ralph Michaels. Love every time he shows up here. He's always great, always makes us a lot of money. I just feel smarter after talking with Ralph. So make sure you guys are heading over Wagertalk.com. Look for that Cal Sports page. Take advantage of his knowledge. Get him working for you. We're not even close to being done yet with the information that is coming your way. Our friend Andrew McInnis, NHL expert with SportsMemo.com. He is also the co-host of Puck Time, one of the coolest and funniest and informative NHL podcasts that are out there, guys. Do yourself a favor. Make sure you subscribe over at SportsMemo.com. Andrew's got a couple of games tonight in the NHL that he really, really likes. So we're going to bring him on here in a couple of minutes, get you all situated with that, as well as our friends at TrendyBets.com. I mean, it's no secret, those of you guys that have been watching this show, you know what their record is. It's been phenomenal. Over the last 2 months, over 60% with their free plays on the show, one a day here, Monday through Friday. They swept last week. They are 5-0 last week, 8-2 out of the last 2 weeks. They're 18-5 over the month. With these free plays in the NBA. They've got another one circled tonight I'm going to give to you guys. We also have another play that just came down that I want to share with you. Our friend Jack the Wizard there, he's also got one he's got circled that he wanted me to pass along to you guys. So plenty of free plays, free knowledge, free money coming your way here in just the next 30 minutes. Looking so forward to being able to talk to Andrew McInnis at Sports Memo. Want to get updated with what's going on in hockey. But before we get to him, I do have to thank a few of our sponsors here that are making all of this possible, including our friends at Low Cost Airlines, as well as Superior Cruise and Travel, and you guys know our friends at Miami Acura. So if it is a vacation you are planning anytime soon, or hell, maybe it's a cruise, you want to get the hell out of Dodge, call Low Cost Airlines, 800-761-1427, and book that cruise today at 800-901-5536. Coming up, your TrendyBets.com free NBA Play of the Day. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back in exactly 92 seconds. It's the Joe Raineri Show.
Where do you want to go on a vacation or honeymoon? The Caribbean, Europe, Hawaii, Mexico? How about Disney or a cruise? At Superior Cruise and Travel, we've got you covered. We'll assign you your own travel concierge. They'll help you design a custom vacation plan that you can't find online. And the service is completely free. You can't compare the value of this to any other online travel company. We can help you plan a custom vacation anywhere in the world. We even offer payment plans with no credit card required. Now you pay off your vacation on your time schedule. Call now and mention the promo code RADIO and save up to $500. Book your custom trip. Call Superior Cruise and Travel now and talk to one of the highest rated travel agencies in the country with a 5-star A+ online rating.
800-901-5536. 800-901-5536. 800-901-5536. That's 800-901-5536.
There you go, guys. Welcome back in. It is the Joe Raineri Show, brought to you by YAHOO on this Tuesday. I don't need to tell you. I mean, look at that guy. He was once a caveman. Now he's a successful sports investor. Why? Well, he tuned into the show. He listened to the cappers that we present to you, and then he opened an account at uwager.eu. All bullshit aside here, guys. Honestly, we talk about it consistently and constantly here on the show about how it is that you need to have options when it comes to line shopping. And too many of us are getting burned by hooks these days because we're not price shopping. And you need to have not just one, but you need to have a few books at your disposal. You need to have that option to be able to play where the line is correct. And that's why I'm telling you, one of those options should be uwager.eu. You call them right now, 1-800-UWAGER. Give them the code JRS50. They'll give you all sorts of special deals right now by calling them, giving them that code, not to mention that 50% sign-up bonus. But you call them, you get that account set up, and then you can include uwager.eu when you go line shopping. And I hope, and I swear I hope you guys are doing that you're not just stuck at one book because that's where you opened an account 2 years ago. I hope you guys are line shopping, and it starts by having multiple books ready to rock and roll to take the plays, and you can do that by simply calling uwager.eu right now, 800-UWAGER. Use the code JRS50. Get yourself that 50% sign-up bonus today. Not to mention they got, when it comes to customer service, guys, there is nobody better. Trust me, I got 5 of them, and I got 5 accounts around the books. I'm all about line shopping, but uWager, when it comes to the customer service, heads and tails above everybody else. So you call them now, they're ready for you. 800-UWAGER. That's 1-800-UWAGER. Give them the code JRS50 and get yourself an account and get ready to start winning tonight. Ralph Michaels joined us. If you're new to the show, you're just stopping by, you're swinging by on Periscope, or you saw it on Twitter and YouTube or Twitch or Facebook. If you guys are going, wow, what is this? It's the Joe Raineri Show, and we thank you for taking the time to hang out with us here today. We've got more information coming your way. One of the best NHL cappers around, Andrew McInnis, SportsMemo.com. He's going to join us here in a minute. He's got a couple of NHL plays that he wants to tell you about, that he'd like to share. And when it comes to the NHL, even Andrew will tell you, anybody will tell you, when it comes to soft markets, a lot of people don't feel the NHL has actually caught up to what you're seeing in the NBA or the NFL, that there is some value that you can certainly find on a consistent basis with those NHL lines. It's just a soft market. It's not as heavily bet as some of the other sports, but there is opportunities there for you guys to pounce on, and that's why it helps to have somebody like Andrew McInnis and the guys at SportsMemo.com in your corner, because once they see it, they share it with you guys, and you can hop on to uwager.eu and cash out at the end of the night, and that's really what it is all about. But Andrew McInnis is going to join us here in just a minute, but I do want to share with you our good friends from TrendyBets.com. Here it is. I got to get them some music. I got to do something about a music bet. Can we get them, TrendyBets, get them like a little, some sort of, what kind of music should we do? Well, nothing ridiculous. All right, we'll find them a music bed here. TrendyBets.com. Make sure you're visiting them at TrendyBets.com. Make sure you're tailing them. What can I say? 18-5 with their free NBA plays on this show. 5-0 last week. 8-2 over the last 2 weeks. These guys have been absolutely phenomenal. So what you need to do is head over to TrendyBets.com. Check them out. Always some great free information available. And then what you need to do is take a look at this pick. Here is the TrendyBets.com free NBA play of the day. They are looking at the Thunder and Hawks tonight. OKC laying 9. Total is 233. Here's what we know from TrendyBets.com. The over, 4-1 in the Thunder last 5 versus a team with a winning percentage below 400. The over, 5-1 in the Hawks' last 6 games versus a team with a winning percentage above 600. The over is also 7-3 in the Hawks' last 10 games, following a straight-up loss of more than 10 points. We also know that the over, 4-0 in the last 4 meetings between these two. So your free NBA TrendyBets.com play tonight, the over, and that's a big number, but don't be scared, that's an over, 233 tonight in the Thunder at the Hawks game. Don't anticipate an awful lot of defense happening here. You're probably looking about averaging, probably 60 to 65 points in a half there. So it's going to be up there, man. Even 70, 35 and 35. That's probably what you're going. 38-35 a quarter is going to happen there tonight. So Thunder at Hawks, no defense. Take the over 233 and make sure that you guys visit visit TrendyBets.com today. Take advantage of one of their amazing NBA packages right now. Use the code NBA50, and you can get yourself 50% off of any one of their premium NBA packages. These guys have been on fire. The last 2 months alone, just their free plays on the show, well over 60%. And then, of course, this month, the last 30 days, 18-5 on their plays. Those of you that have been tailing and following us, you know exactly how much money you've been able to cash with these guys. And it will continue tonight with the Thunder at the Hawks over 233. Love that. All right, coming up here in just a few, we've got some headlines, including the latest odds for Kyler Murray now that he's entered the NFL draft. Who do you guys think Kyler Murray is going to get drafted by? There is some value here. I'll tell you who Vegas thinks the number one team is and how you can make some money. We will do that, but first... Hey guys, happy Tuesday. Real excited to have our good friend Andrew McInnis, SportsMemo.com, joining us via the Miami Acura hotline once again. Andrew, for those of you that don't know, is he hosts one of the best NHL podcasts for you hockey fans out there. This guy, he knows his stuff. Between him and Alex Smith, who you've heard here on the show, and of course the Prez, the three of them, it's very entertaining. It's very informative. It's called Puck Time. It's at SportsMemo.com. And Andrew, thanks for taking some time to talk some hockey with us here today, man.
Yeah, Joe, it's good to be back. Thank you so much for having me on once again. And yeah, I've been looking forward to this. And, you know, last time we spoke, lots of things have changed. And, you know, there's been plenty of kind of some movement and teams moving up or down in the standings. Good to kind of just chat hockey, look over the standings here, talk about a few games today, and just go over things. So I hope you had a good Christmas, holidays, and Happy New Year to you as well.
It's been a very profitable New Year for you, as a matter of fact, Andrew. I've seen not only you've been killing it in the NHL, as we know, but you've had a pretty good streak in the NBA so far in 2019.
Yeah, that's true, and it's funny because I try to make it known for myself to be mostly an NHL handicapper and to let people know that I'm not one of those guys that does every sport, Joe. I think it's very important for people, you know, as much as I can say you can do a lot of stuff, but it's good to have one thing that you narrow in on as your specialty, as the one you're putting the most time and effort and research into, and that really is hockey for me. But NBA has really come up to play right now for me over the past several weeks, I'd say. 10-2 in my last 12 spread wagers in the National Basketball Association, and I think it's strictly one of those things in the NBA where you have to just be following it. You got to look at the trends and stats, but it's mostly about reading teams. I would say, Joe, the NBA, more than any other sport, teams are so up and down. They go through so many lulls, so many woes, and you got to be able to read that, especially with these massive spreads that are offered every single night. You know, for example, this Warriors team, they're one of the worst teams covering the spread for a lot of the year. And now all of a sudden they're finally blowing teams out like the Knicks, like the Bulls, that they should be blowing out. So, you know, especially now we're getting into the second half of the year, the teams are starting to try more and games start to mean more, especially rivalry games. And you see certain teams kind of working their way up the standings like Brooklyn. So, the whole standings in the NBA, you don't really know where it could be next week, where it's going to be in a month from now. That's what I love about that league. So, the NBA is treating me great. I'm a lower volume handicapper with, but it's doing me pretty good so far.
Andrew McInnis joining us. SportsMemo.com is where you guys can reach him, part of the Wagertalk family there, and always some great information, great cappers at SportsMemo.com. You mentioned NHL, so a couple of things before we get into some of the games here tonight. I'd like to go over some of the power standings, if we could, maybe some of these top 5 teams. I'll rattle off who I have. You tell me if you agree or disagree with what we've got here. My top 5, starting with number 5, is I've got the Capitals, followed by the Golden Knights, followed by the Flames, followed by the Maple Leafs, followed by, of course, the Tampa Bay Lightning. Is that a fair top 5 assessment in your opinion?
You have the Leafs above the Lightning?
I have Lightning 1, Leafs 2, Flames 3, Golden Knights 4, and the Washington Capitals 5.
I would agree with that.
Okay.
I would agree with that. I think that it's important right now for us to realize the slump that this Leafs team has gone through, of course, but I'd have to agree with what you're saying, because that list is important because it shows, realistically, especially a team like Vegas. I talked about Vegas when I was on your show last show. It's important for people to realize what they're doing right now. And I think it's a lot more special than people realize, because last year they did so well. They did so well. They went so far in the playoffs. Of course, they didn't get the job completely done, but to do that in your inaugural season and to really kick things off on that note, to really inspire your fan base, get the city in real hockey mode, it was outstanding. And now they started their season off on a really bad note. They couldn't really manage to get any key victories, any key wins, any close game victories. And now all of a sudden, they're coming out the gate. I mean, Ryan Reeves just really he broke his record, I believe, for goals in the season. I believe 8 or 9 goals. So when you've got guys like that, Joe, that are scoring, I mean, you're in pretty good hands. This team's obviously everything starts with Marc-Andre Fleury and their goaltending, but I love what their coaching staff has done. They really push the tempo, push the pace, and they've got a fast team. They don't have too many all-stars, but they've got a fast team, and that's really what all matters. They have 4 lines that run, and they get the job done for them. So that's a team I just wanted to say I've been impressed with again this year, and there hasn't really been too much of a hangover.
And I'm wondering, the Lightning are so good right now. I don't know, what can they keep up this production, or are they at a point where anything short of a Stanley Cup, at least an appearance, is going to be a major disappointment for this team this year?
I would say so, Joe. I think there's so much talent on this team, and it's kind of funny because I know last year with Washington, for so many years, Washington was talked about being that team. They were that team that won the President's Trophy. They would go to the Stanley Cup, and they just couldn't get the job done. Last year, they finally do, and I think that for some years as well, Tampa Bay's been talked about. I think this year might just finally be their year. There's not a team in the National Hockey League that is as fast as this Tampa Bay Lightning team that can get up and down the ice. There's not a team in the National Hockey League that has the two-way players like Kucherov, like Braden Point, like Tyler Johnson on this Tampa Bay team. And I think that's what's really most important in the National Hockey League this year. You can't just be an offensive type team, and that's why we're going to get into the Maple Leafs a little bit later. But this team is so well-rounded, it's unbelievable, and you also have to have a great defensive core. And this is a guy that, as a Montreal fan, I'm upset we gave him up. But Mikhail Sergachev, excellent player, excellent defender, very young player. Ryan McDonough, Victor Hedman, those guys are leading the way back there in the blue line. They make a real impact. So I think it goes without saying that it's not just, these all-stars and these guys like Stamkos and like Kucherov that are making a difference offensively, but it's also their defense. And, of course, we can't forget the goaltending with Vasilevsky and the excellent job that Louis Domingue did when Vasilevsky was injured. So this team is certainly at the top of my rankings. And every time I watch them, I just like them more and more, Joe. I mean, they're the fastest team ever. They get up and down and their power play is outstanding. I mean, you don't want to get this team on the power play more than 3 times a game. They're just going to make you pay for it, and they're just so lethal on. And of course, let's all know the best top 3 in the entire league. Especially that 1-2 punch with Stamkos and Kucherov, you can't really beat it.
Andrew McInnis joining us. SportsMemo.com is where you guys can find him, part of the Wagertalk family. And your co-host there, Puck Time, which I encourage any NHL fan, if you love hockey, this is probably one of the most entertaining and informative podcasts out there. You can find it at SportsMemo.com. But your co-host, the Prez, we had him on last week, and I don't need to tell you what kind of Toronto Maple Leaf fan he is here. I mean, the sun, it rises and sets on the Maple Leafs' ass here. But I don't know. Are the Maple Leafs, at least to me, they look about a year away from really being in that upper echelon. We do have them as the number 2 team in the NHL right now, but are they a year away in your opinion?
They're not a year away, Joe. I think they're 2, 3, 4 years away, and that might be a stretch. And I think a lot of people are going to be by me saying that, but with this roster, I'll continue to say what I just said. And I think that until there are moves made, nothing can change for this team. Nothing is going to change come playoff time because people don't realize that playoff hockey is way different than actually playing regular season hockey. It's a lot less aggressive. It's a lot less intense. It's a lot lower scoring. And it's just certain things like that where the grind that you're on in the playoffs is nowhere close to the grind you're on in the regular season. And that's just a fact. And I think that if you look at the defensive core that this Toronto Maple Leafs team has, I saw them play against the Bruins a little over a month ago in Boston. And Hainsey didn't look good whatsoever. Gardner didn't look good whatsoever. Morgan Riley, he's obviously having a great year, but I feel like he's almost up in the rush too much. And of course, Nikita Zaitsev, he's an aggressive defenseman, and he's a guy that can really push guys out of the front of the net and stuff like that. But he's not really a impactful player. So I think this is a perfect example of when you're top heavy, that you get to the playoffs and you're going to just once again get bumped around, get bodied, and not really be able to kind of match up line for line. That's why, I'm not, first of all, this is coming from a Montreal Canadiens fan, so I'm not being biased, but because I don't like the Bruins either. This is why the Bruins are so successful, because they have so much skill, but they also have so much, grit and aggressiveness, and they're so great down their entire lineup, and their defensemen are solid. I mean, you can't really argue with that with a guy like especially Charlie McAvoy, a real young player like that. I mean, how do you think Jake Gardner feels that last night after his game against the Colorado Avalanche, this guy's getting booed by his own fans? He's being asked by reporters, how do you feel getting booed? And he's just like, emotionally, it feels terrible for him. And, when I saw them play against, when I saw the Leafs play against the Bruins, Joe, I saw Mitch Marner maybe get knocked down over 4, 5, 6 times on the night. This guy is probably, looks like he weighs 120 pounds soaking wet. These guys aren't really a strong team without Matthews or Tavares, scoring every night. And I think that Kadri's a good player, but, that third line center position, again, come playoff time, where was he last year? So, again, all I'm saying is I'm not trying to kind of degrade how great this Toronto Maple Leafs team is, but if you look at a guy like William Nylander, who I don't know if you want to call it selfishly waited till December to start playing for this Toronto team, but he just got his first goal recently. You've got a guy like Marleau that, of course, uses his experience and his veteran experience in this league, but he's not nearly as fast as he used to be. I think we can both agree on that. So my point being is we got to see some trades. I think you got to trade away some of that offense and move it into defense, because that's what's really going to help you. And they got to get some more size, because that's all that really matters come playoff time is, first of all, your ability to score at crucial times, your ability to have great starts, and momentum. And this team, when they get down early, we saw it last year in the playoffs, they get frustrated. And, we see them so many times, Joe, during the regular season, they don't really often lose the lead. When they're playing teams that are below their level, they're usually up. But you catch them down 2-3 goals, it's a little bit tougher for them. So because teams lay back, they sit back, and they just kind of clog up the ice. So I think that things will have to get better for this Leafs team in order to be successful longer term. Because if you stack up the Tampa Bay Lightning, the Boston Bruins, and the Leafs right now, I'll tell you, playoff mode, the Leafs are my 3 on the power rankings for that.
It sounds like you think they suffer from pussyitis. It sounds like they're just not tough enough yet. And it's I know I'm not a doctor, and I don't know if that's actually a condition, but it sounds like you don't think they are tough enough at this point to be able to contend with some of the upper echelon teams. That when it comes down to it in a best of 7 series, that the teams, the team like the Bruins with the that have that grit, that have that defense that can take over games, they're just too much of maybe a finesse team at this point, and they don't have enough balance. Is that fair?
No, that's fair. And again, I'm not taking anything away from them, because I don't want anyone to think that I'm saying this Leafs team isn't great, but I'm just saying, what have we seen over the past few years in the playoffs, especially when they've matched up against a team like the Bruins? So let's not forget, I mean, they used to be called the Big Bad Bruins for a reason. You got a guy, I don't know, Joe, if you've noticed, but Brad Marchand actually lives he's just down the road from where I am right now. And so I know quite a bit about him, watched him kind of grow up here and play here. And he's a guy that you love to hate, because he's a pesky guy, but he's also on the top line, and one of the best lines with with Pasternak and Bergeron. So, the Leafs don't have any guys like that. they don't have any Marchands. And, he can score, but he can also get in your face. He's not scared to be aggressive. And I think they need a little more of that.
Andrew McInnis joining us. SportsMemo.com is where you can find him when it comes to NHL. Some of the best cappers in the business are at SportsMemo.com. Also, make sure you check out the NHL podcast, Puck Time, as Andrew is a co-host there. And I want to ask you about maybe one of the most disappointing teams in the NHL. And I keep hearing it come up and again, where the Edmonton Oilers should just be better than what they are right now. I mean, it is the Connor McDavid show. We know this. It's unfortunately, I think that's just all they have. I mean, they don't do anything else very well. If it's not Connor McDavid, then it doesn't get done. But they should just be better than they are, shouldn't they?
They should. They should outright be better than they are. They should have more production throughout their lineup than they do. And that's the most disappointing thing, Joe. More than anything, I think anyone that's really following hockey can say that about the Oilers, but you got to really go in depth here and look at their team and find out where they're really going wrong. And I think it starts with the general manager. That's the biggest thing. I mean, I'm not really one to pick apart general managers, Joe, but if you look at this, since taking over as the Oilers general manager, April 2015, Chiarelli has traded away Taylor Hall, Jordan Eberle, Drake Caggiula, and the draft picks that became Matthew Barzal and Anthony Beauvillier. Again, Taylor Hall, Jordan Eberle, a potential Matthew Barzal and Anthony Beauvillier. I mean, that's ridiculous. Just the fact that Taylor Hall goes and gets the Hart Trophy, and all of a sudden he could have been still on that Oilers team. What happened to building that dynasty? I mean, remember that trade for Larson? That's something that I would never, ever do, because obviously you want to up your defenseman. I get that. The Oilers wanted to be a little more strong from both sides of the ice, which it makes sense. I mean, it's what I was just talking about with the Leafs. But what have they really done by picking up Manning and Petrovic? What are they going to do? I get it. They're going to be a strong force on defense. But, everyone says this, but I got to be the one to repeat it. McDavid can't do everything. He cannot do everything. And the way that the pressure that they put on him is just unbelievable. And every night, really, he still lives up to that pressure. But Leon Draisaitl has not been the guy that he's supposed to be, that he was even 3-4 years ago. He was a great line mate for McDavid. He was great to be around him. And if you notice, because I check these websites every day, if you notice, the top line is almost different, I'd say, every third, fourth game right now for this Oilers team. You've seen so many different guys. I've seen Zach Kassian go from being on the fourth line to the top line with McDavid, back to the fourth line again, and now all of a sudden Ty Ratty's up there on the first line. It's just been tough. You have to have someone consistently up there. First of all, even if you're not being successful, you have to have someone up there consistently with McDavid so they can gain some chemistry. How can someone gain chemistry with McDavid if it's a different person on his right, on his left, every single game, Joe? It doesn't make sense to me. A guy like Milan Lucic, I think he's making close to $7 million a year to just stand around, because I know he's not doing anything special whatsoever. I think he has a handful of goals in the season. Joe, I heard rumors that he was actually going back, looking at tape of his old junior days and his old Boston days and watching his goals, try and get his confidence back. That's how bad Milan Lucic is looking right now. And, of course, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins not doing anything really special. And, of course, Ryan Spooner, don't even get me started, because I just can't believe that he really landed on this roster after everything that they had. Again, Taylor Hall, Eberle, Caggiula, Barzal, these all could have been on the Oilers right now, and they're not, and that's all on Chiarelli. And, the Oilers CEO, Bob Nicholson, said Chiarelli's job is safe as long as the Oilers make the playoffs. So I'll send it back to you with that note, but I really, really question what Chiarelli has done with this team, because, he's really made it a dumpster fire for the next several years.
Starts at the top, wasting a whole bunch of that man Connor McDavid's years here doing farting around with that lineup. That is for sure in that roster. Andrew McInnis joining us, SportsMemo.com. All right, let's dive into a couple of the games tonight that are on the board. We'll start with the Islanders and the Blues. And as of check here, it looks like the Islanders. It's actually Islanders are getting a big percentage of the bets as well as a big percentage of the money right now. I think it opened up at plus 130 for the Blues. What do you like about this game? Who do you like in this game?
To me, I'm actually going to stay away from the side, Joe. To be honest with you, these are two teams that are playing very well, playing good hockey right now, and they're both scoring. For me personally, I'm looking at this one, and I'm kind of just surprised that we're seeing a 5.5. A lot of different people are questioning why we're seeing 6.5 and even 7 some parts this year, but the scoring has just been up. Scoring has been ramped up so much this year, but you look at this New York Islanders offense, they're steadily averaging 3 goals per game, where St. Louis, on the season, 2.85, but they've really been ramping that up recently, and you look over their past several games, I mean, they've kind of been impressing me. I mean, a 4-1 victory over the Capitals, 3-1 victory over the Stars, 4-1 victory over the Canadiens, and they're taking care of things. Again, they beat the Capitals 5-2 on January 3rd. This is a team that's really kind of a buy team right now. I like to use that motto, Joe, like the buy and sell. So they're one of those teams I'm really hopping on board with right now. And this Islanders team, of course, they're just involved in so many high-scoring games. I love this Islanders team from just a fan perspective. They're great to watch, Joe. They're a team that can light up the scoreboard any given night, and they're also a team with a dangerous power play. So, I mean, I was one guy that was bashing the St. Louis Blues team. There should have been so much greatness coming out of this team with the players they picked up. I mean, I was wondering where Ryan O'Reilly was in the first half of the season. I was wondering where Braden Shen was. I was wondering where Tarasenko was, and all of a sudden, these guys are really coming alive, and they're making names for themselves on this team. And it's also really nice to mention that as much of the goaltending struggles that they've gone through, Jordan Binnington has done an excellent job over the past several games coming in for the Blues. But again, he's just a young goalie, and I think that the Blues will come in here and continue their kind of their run here with scoring and good numbers. So when you got the Islanders and the Blues matching up here over the past several matchups, I believe 2 of the last 3 have gone over between these two teams, and they're looking strong. They make me really want to back this. I see here 11 of the last 16 games when playing on the road in New York have gone over between these two teams, and it really just makes me want to back this spot here. And it's one that I'm going to really be talking about all day long because these are two teams that are scoring in bunches, Joe, and I'm going to go with the over 5.5. Grab it early, because it could be at 6 by puck drop.
Andrew McInnis joining us, sportsmemo.com. One of the other games on the card tonight, Carolina and the Rangers. You've got a total of 6, opened up at 6, currently at 6. And, of course, I think the money line, if we're looking here, minus 147 Carolina, plus 127 for the Rangers. What do you like in this game?
This is a phrase I like to use, and it's kind of a cheesy one here, Joe, but King Henrik, in my eyes, is no longer the king. I think you can kind of just take that crown off his head and tell him his days might be done, because I believe he allowed 4 goals on 20 shots in his last outing last Thursday. He's just not looking as strong recently, and that's really what's hurting this team the most. I mean, he was supposed to be the backbone of this team. They're obviously a team that's a lower-tier team. They're struggling a little bit, and in the first half of the year, they were kind of a buy team for me simply because of the odds we were getting and the value as an underdog spot they were. But this year, they're letting me down so much. I mean, they're not impressive whatsoever right now, but I got to look over on the other side with Carolina and the way that they're kind of looking right now in their goaltending. I mean, how about McElhinney? How about the way that McElhinney has been really stepped things up? He was a guy that was almost washed up in the NHL. He was ready to go down to the AHL. He was moving around different teams each and every night. Now he's got a guy like Peter Mrazek as well, kind of working that 1-2 combo, and with McElhinney, and he's also stepping into his own and played some solid outings over his last couple of games. So I've been impressed with them, and they've won 7 of their last 8 games, and this Carolina team's rolling. And how about a guy like Sebastian Aho, a guy that's not really talked about too much because he's on a Carolina team that, let's face it, not the most popular market, not the most popular team, but he's a young player. He's on the top line. He's one of the fastest players in the Eastern Conference, in my opinion, and he also makes a difference on both sides of the ice, and that's really something I look for. A lot of people love the flashy players. I love the two-way players, and that's why I'm a huge Patrice Bergeron fan, one of the best two-way players in the entire National Hockey League. But this Carolina team, 2.73 goals on the season, Joe, but as of late, they've really been stepping things up. I mean, 4 goals against Buffalo, 6 goals against a Nashville team that has, let's face it, one of the best defensive pairings in the entire league. So we're laying a little bit of juice here. I mean, minus 140, 143. We're going to go with the Carolina Hurricanes on the money line to get things done versus the struggling New York Rangers team. I think this is a real big mismatch here. I think that the ship is certainly sinking for this Rangers team. And again, I just think Lundqvist isn't the same guy he was several years ago, and especially when he was goaltending for Team Sweden. So we're going to look for Carolina on the money line.
Carolina money line, Islanders and Blues over 5.5, depending on the book you're looking at. And make sure that you guys head over to sportsmemo.com for the rest of Andrew McInnis's lineup and his card tonight. Make sure that you guys drop by. Make sure you're tailing him as well at McInnis Picks on Twitter. Great follow there. And Andrew, we thank you so very much for your time, my friend, your insight. We wish you nothing but the best of luck here, and we look forward to having you back on the show again.
Always a pleasure. Thanks so much, Joe. Appreciate your time.
That is Andrew McInnis. Want to thank him very much for stopping by once again, and as well as all of the guys at sportsmemo.com. Make sure that you are tailing Andrew McInnis Picks. A great NHL podcast, too. Puck Time with the Prez from over at Wagertalk. Our friend of the show, Alex B. Smith, and Andrew, they put together one of the most entertaining NHL podcasts there is. Very informative, very funny. The Prez is out of his mind, but they're also putting out winners too. And if you're just joining us, Andrew likes the Islanders and the Blues tonight over in that one, 5.5, depending on the line, as well as the Hurricanes money line taking on the Rangers. Just doesn't feel that he's got what it takes anymore in the Rangers. Lundqvist in goal. So make sure that you guys are tailing Andrew McInnis Picks on Twitter. Some great stuff there. And as always, I want to thank him very much for taking the time, as well as our good friend Ralph Michaels, who dropped by a little bit earlier. If you guys didn't get a chance to see Ralph's college basketball tips and plays tonight, it'll be available as soon as we are done here. Hope you guys are following us not only on Facebook, but Twitter, Twitch, Periscope, and YouTube Live as we broadcast live. DIC Flipper hanging out to us in YouTube as well as Vori. So want to thank you guys very much for taking the time to hang out with us in the chat rooms live. We bring this to you every Monday through Friday, guys, live. We're introducing you to as many cappers as humanly possible, guys across the country, some of the best. The only way I know how to make somebody a more profitable sports investor is by throwing as much great knowledge as humanly possible your way, and you guys get a chance to actually meet the Ralph Michaels of the world, the Andrew McInnises of the world. So you're not doing business, or you're not relying on somebody hiding behind a Twitter handle or a website who you absolutely have no idea if they're even alive or why they're picking what they're picking. That's not the point here. On this show, we try to introduce you, and so you can get to know these guys a little bit better, and you guys get to make smart sports investing decisions by listening to their points of view, what they have to say, and then utilize your knowledge and come up with the best plan of attack for whatever it is that you're going to be capping. That's what the whole point of this show is. So I hope you guys will support us and continue to support us, as well as make sure that you head over to uwager.eu and get yourself an account, damn it. We keep telling you, there is nothing more important than line shopping if you're going to be a profitable sports investor. You have to have access to multiple places in order to be able to get the bet in the right line. How do you do that? Well, it starts by finding sports books that you can actually trust, and this is definitely one that you can trust. The best lines, the best pricing, the best customer service is at uwager.eu. So do yourself a favor. Make sure UWager is at your disposal during the week so you can make these plays. 1-800-UWager. Use the code JRS50. Get yourself a 50% sign-up bonus today. That's 1-800-UWager. Use the code JRS. They'll drop an extra 50% in there for you. They'll give you all sorts of extra bells and whistles. Just tell them, I want my account, damn it, and they'll go ahead and do it. 800-UWager. Use the code JRS50. All right, I wanted to tell you, too, because this also came down. There are some early Vegas lines now that Kyler Murray, if you guys didn't hear yesterday, and I do think we have this, Kyler Murray, You know him as the former Oklahoma Sooner quarterback, Heisman Trophy winner, although he wasn't good enough to get past Oklahoma. He declared for the NFL draft. This was from his Twitter page yesterday. The whole world went absolutely ballistic yesterday because Kyler Murray decided that he would make himself eligible for the NFL draft, and now you've got people claiming they know better than Kyler Murray. It's amazing to me on Twitter how many people, and in the sports radio universe and blogosphere, how many people think they know what's better for Kyler Murray than actually, Kyler Murray. And Kyler is already under contract because he was drafted in the first round by the A's last year. So the A's own the rights to him. And all from what we knew and from what he said, he was planning on he was never going to play quarterback for OU again next year anyway. There was no way that his stock was ever going to be more valuable than it is right now. So if he was ever going to declare himself for the draft, this would have been the time to do it. There are rumors and there have been reports that he's looking for $15 million guaranteed from the A's in order for him to report to, to spring training and that kind of thing. And he wants to, listen, he's got a lot of money waiting for him in the NFL if that's the route that he wants to go, because a quarterback-starved NFL is absolutely going to draft this kid. The question is where and for how much are they willing to invest. But there is not like Kyler Murray is some sort of he's not a guaranteed commodity in the NFL. He's just not. He just happens to be available. But the guy's only 5'10". It's not there's still a lot of questions about his NFL viability. So I wouldn't necessarily if you are one of these teams that, like the Miami Dolphins down here, I wouldn't exactly be praying that, Kyler Murray is available for you guys to be able to draft here, because I don't trust a 5'10" quarterback. There's only one Drew Brees as far as I know, and he was great in college, but the reality is some guys are just better college quarterbacks than they would ever be in the NFL. So his heart's with baseball. I think he's utilizing the NFL to leverage against one of the worst and cheapest Major League Baseball teams known to mankind. The Oakland A's pay absolutely nobody. The Oakland A's, if he does report to them, as soon as he gets good and as soon as he's worth money, they'd end up trading him and dumping him anyway. So I don't know how they are going to squeeze $15 million out of the Oakland A's. I don't know how that's going to happen. There were reports, I think, that Billy Beane himself kind of flew out to meet with Kyler Murray over the last couple of days, trying to convince him to report to the A's. But listen, money talks, bullshit walks. I don't blame him whatsoever leveraging one sport against the other. Leverage the NFL, because those lunatic owners in the NFL will overpay for anything that resembles a franchise quarterback. And he could very well be a top 5 quarterback in the NFL in 5 years. Or he could be RG3 and could be absolutely useless in 2 years. But that doesn't mean he shouldn't get paid. He should absolutely get paid. And if the NFL is going to give you the opportunity to make Billy Beane and those cheap-ass Oakland A's owners to open up the checkbook, then God bless, dude. Do what is ever best for Kyler Murray. But I'm amazed how many people on social media and in the radio media, sports world-wise, how many people think they know what's better for Kyler Murray than Kyler Murray or his family. It blows me away. If you can get $15 million, you cash that. If you can get an NFL team to sign you for $25 million, then, man, go get your money, man. Go get paid, because we know the NFL is going to overpay for you one way or the other. In fact, the odds just came out today, early line odds on who do you think is at the top of this list? Best money right now on the board. You guys have any idea? You want to take a guess? If you said the Raiders, you're absolutely correct. Plus 325 right now for the Raiders drafting Kyler Murray. The Jags are second. The Jacksonville Jaguars plus 350, followed by the New York Giants plus 400 right now. And then you've got a whole lot of mediocre teams all in need of a quarterback at some pretty decent prices. The Arizona Cardinals, which I find hysterical since they just got a first-round draft pick quarterback last year in Josh Rosen. But the word on the street is from a number of different guys that I have talked to that cover the Cardinals, including Russell Baxter from Bleacher Report and Sports Illustrated. We talked to him last week. And he had heard that Cliff Kingsbury, who is now the head coach of the Cards, wasn't all that enamored with Josh Rosen. That apparently the rumor is that if Cliff Kingsbury told ownership and has made it known inside circles there in Arizona that if he had a shot at Kyler Murray, if Kyler Murray entered the draft and there was a chance that he that he'd be ready to skip baseball, Cliff Kingsbury is all in on Kyler Murray. He has made that known in some circles in the Arizona area. So some of the media guys have been saying this and talking about this, that they would not at all be surprised that if he did in fact declare for the draft, don't be surprised for the Cardinals to move up, do what they've got to do in order to draft him. And at plus 500, if those rumors come to fruition, there could very well be that's a pretty good payday at 50-1 there. Dolphins at 800, followed by the Broncos and Redskins, rounding out the top 8 here. Broncos, listen, if the Broncos draft him, then he's definitely going to be a failure because all they do is draft absolute failures at the quarterback position. You would think John Elway, a legendary Hall of Fame quarterback, would be better at, judging other quarterbacks, but apparently not. Dolphins, Broncos, Redskins, plus 800. I like the Cards at plus 500 with the rumors I'm hearing. If that's a possibility, guys, that's a big number. You might as well throw a couple of shekels down on that. And then, of course, Giants, Jags, and Raiders are in the lead, plus 325. I'm not convinced that he's going to be, just because he declared doesn't necessarily, he's still got some time to figure out what he's going to do with baseball. And I think if baseball ultimately writes him that check, if the A's do write him a check, he'll be playing baseball. I don't think he's going to come to the football universe just yet. So don't get all excited, Raider fans, Jag fans, Giant fans. I'm not sure he would be the answer to your franchise problems anyway at quarterback. But the Cards is definitely something you might want to keep an eye on moving forward. All right, so I did get actually a couple of texts from you guys regarding some other games tonight that I thought I would pass along. And one of them comes from a good friend. We introduced you to Jack Robinson last week on the show. That is his Twitter page. It is at Jack_WMF. He is known as the Wizard for the people that do follow him. He is a great follow on Twitter, so I hope you guys are tailing him at Jack_WMF. But he also has been killing it in the NBA this year. His plays are posted. They are for free. This guy does nothing but win. You had an opportunity to meet him last week, and he's got some great stuff to say. He's got the way he breaks down games, very unique. I thought it was worth a second shot. So we're going to bring him back on the show here, hopefully this week or next. The record speaks for itself. I think he's well over 60, close to 65%, 66% in the NBA this year, and close to, I think, 80 or 85 plays. I'll double check on those numbers, but if you're tailing him at Jack_WMF, everything is right there for you guys to see. He likes the over tonight in the Timberwolves versus the Sixers. Over 232. It looks like he's buying a half a point there, minus 120. He does like the over, doesn't want to get screwed with the hook, so go ahead, pay a couple extra bucks there for the get rid of that half a point. Over 232. Timberwolves Sixers tonight, and that's our good friend Jack Robinson, the Wizard. Make sure you guys are following him at Jack_WMF. And if you guys didn't get a chance to meet us yesterday on the show, I had told you that we got some good news coming along, that very shortly, over the next 2 weeks, I'm going to be hosting a brand new morning show on the Fantasy Sports Radio Network. And we are really, really excited to be a part of the Fantasy Sports Radio Network, heard on affiliates around the country, cable networks, radio affiliates, cable TV, every streaming platform known to mankind. Love these guys. And we do have a new morning show I'm so excited about. That is coming up here within the next 2 weeks before the Super Bowl. We'll have the date coming your way, let you know exactly when we're going to launch it. But I actually will be hosting the pregame show this Sunday before the divisional championships on the Fantasy Sports Radio Network with a whole bunch of guys that really know their shit. And I can't. I'm going to be all excited. I think Mike Blewett is going to be there. My future co-host is going to be there. It's going to be an awesome time. It's going to happen this Sunday. I believe Keith Irizarry is going to be there. A bunch of guys that you all know and you have heard of and probably have followed forever, all going to be a part of this broadcast this Sunday on the Fantasy Sports Radio Network. So if you guys get a chance, go ahead, download the app, get it ready. This Sunday, 10 o'clock to 2 o'clock, we're going to go ahead and get you all set up. Everything you need to know from a betting perspective, from a strategy perspective, the knowledge that's going to be on this show, it's going to be crazy. That is this Sunday on the Fantasy Sports Radio Network beginning at 10 a.m., 10 to 2. Certainly hope that you will join us and then get ready. We got a brand new morning show. I cannot wait for this. 6 a.m., 9 a.m. Your mornings just got a little bit better. It's going to be over the next 2 weeks. I'll give you the exact launch date once we get the confirmation, but it's going to be fun. So you'll be able to not only take me anywhere you go with the app, but probably going to be on a local radio station near you, and if not, certainly a local cable network near you as well. So very excited. Some great things happening here around the Joe Raineri Show, and I want to thank you guys again for your support and for growing this show to what it's been right now, which is really a spot that is it's a reliable platform to help introduce some of the best handicappers from around the country. Unfortunately, with the expansion of sports betting right now, it's becoming more and more popular. And what that also means is that people are getting drowned out because now everyone is a professional handicapper. And unfortunately, not everybody's intentions are pure when it comes to social media and in this industry. It's still sort of the wild, wild west. So what happens is a lot of the quality guys that you should be getting your information from, a lot of the quality guys that have had, who are transparent, whose records speak for themselves, who have been doing this over 30 years, or hell, even been doing it over the last few years, but the numbers speak for themselves. You're not hearing from them because they're spending 40, 50, 60 hours a week, sometimes even more, actually doing the work in handicapping. So they don't have an opportunity to try and cut through all of the bullshit that is swarming across gambling Twitter and other places. And that is why we kind of created this, to try and elevate these guys and give them a platform to kind of stand out from the guy who is, the Wolf 28, 33, 42, and the rest of these guys who create burner accounts. I don't know who the hell's got time for this in their life, but social media is just a wonderful place. It is a head-scratching place. It can be a very dark place, and we're trying to eliminate that for you and give you guys a place to come where you'll get solid capping advice from some of the industry's best from around the country. Guys like Ralph Michaels today, who went over college hoops and a few of the games that he likes tonight. If you didn't catch that, again, it'll be made available for you guys on any one of our streaming platforms here: Periscope, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch. They are housed here. All our interviews and videos are housed here, so I hope you guys will take a look at what Ralph had to say. Some great information there, along with a couple of very solid plays tonight in college hoops. Also, Andrew McInnis, SportsMemo.com. He dropped by. He's got a couple of great plays in the NHL. I do believe that we are looking at the Islanders and Blues, the over. If you can get it 5.5. He liked the over in that game, and he does like the the Carolina Hurricanes there on the money line over the Rangers. That was another one of his solid plays. And make sure that you are tailing Andrew at McInnis Picks on Twitter, and join his Puck Time podcast at sportsmemo.com. Tomorrow, our good friend Tony George, Doc Sports, another legend in the business. He'll be joining us, guys, getting you ready for the NFL divisional playoffs this weekend. Also, he's got some NBA and he's got some college hoops up his sleeve too that he's been killing it. Some first half plays, from what I understand, that have been doing very, very well from him. Tony will tell you all about it tomorrow here on the Joe Raineri Show. We broadcast to you guys live right around 4 o'clock. If you don't catch us live, I certainly hope that you're going to catch the replay. Knowledge is power, guys. That's exactly what you get here, as much knowledge as humanly possible. Joe D'Amico on Friday, AASI wins. Ralph will be back on Thursday. We got a whole lineup of guys coming this week for you to meet, including our friend the Keg, Mr. Sports Keg CEO Jay. He'll be around, and as you guys are texting into me right now in the chat room, if you're just joining us, you didn't get the TrendyBets.com play of the day, so let me go ahead and give that to you. Thunder at Hawks tonight, the over 233. Thunder at Hawks over 233 tonight. That is your TrendyBets.com free NBA play of the day. You guys have been great. Want to thank Miami Acura, Good Greek Moving and Storage, Wagertalk, our friends at iTicketHub.com, which if you are looking for tickets to any sporting event, any concert, anything, don't be paying secondary market prices like at StubHub or Vivid or one of these astronomically priced places. iTicketHub is by far the cheapest and the best priced secondary market vendor there is. iTicketHub.com. Make sure that you guys visit them there. Of course, uwager.eu. Want to thank them, as well as Doc Sports. Tony George tomorrow. He'll be here, so on behalf of all of these guys, I want to wish you a very profitable Tuesday night. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Come back and join us tomorrow with Tony George, and we'll make it an even more profitable week tomorrow. Have a great night, guys. Thanks for making us a part of it. It's the Joe Raineri Show.